ever wondered why some people seem to have a gift for music? Have you ever wished that you could play by ear, sing in tune, improvise and jam? You're in the right place. Time to turn those wishes into reality. Welcome to the Musicality Podcast with your host, Christopher Sutton.
In our recent episode with Brad Davis, we talked a bit about the terrific bluegrass tribute albums he's put together, where he takes well-known music in various genres and arranges it into really cool and different bluegrass-style performances. I wanted to pick up on that idea of arranging music, because I know that for a long time I put it into a specific box that existed in the world of classical composers and advanced orchestral stuff. But over time, as I've connected more with my musicality, I've realized how much broader arranging music can be, and how it's actually something that any and all of us as musicians can be doing. So what is arranging? Well, as I just referred to, there is a traditional sense of the word in which a serious composer of music creates a full and often quite complex score. An orchestral arrangement, for example, might have dozens of pages of music notation for each of dozens of instruments. So it's no wonder that a lot of people think arranging music is a really advanced skill that requires classical music training and deep understanding of music theory and notation. In my mind, the composer invented the music, and then they or someone else would go to the trouble of producing a full arrangement to be played. And I still think that's a pretty good way of thinking about it. A lot of what we cover on this podcast is about distilling music down, often by ear, into its most important components. When we did our episodes on solfa, on lead sheets, on the hook, we were talking about listening to music and pulling out the notes and chords that really define that music. Not necessarily worrying about identifying each and every note being played, but honing in on the essence of the song or the piece. In a way, that's getting back to what the composer originally thought of, their core idea for the music. Then all the detail, all the specifics of which instruments play what notes when, that's the arrangement. So if our ear skills let us distill music down to just its essence, you can think of arranging music as the opposite, expanding it back out into a full version of that music that can be played and heard. So obviously this is where it gets interesting, because the same core idea, the same melody and chords and rhythm patterns, can be expanded in any number of ways to produce an endless variety of arrangements. And of course, a complex orchestral score in traditional notation is only one of those possibilities. If I asked you to sing your favorite song right now, you would probably hum or sing the melody. Not the chords, and not the full band arrangement. You probably wouldn't sing me every verse or chorus, but you would be singing me the song, and that means that you have just arranged that song for a short solo voice demonstration. If you listen to Elton John or Amanda Palmer performing a song when they're accompanying themselves on piano, and then you sit down and figure out the chords by ear, and pick up your guitar and give it a try yourself, you have just arranged that song for guitar. If you take an 80s pop hit, or a classical masterpiece, and you perform it in a bluegrass style like Brad Davis does, you've just created a bluegrass arrangement of that music. If you sample a rock track and add extra loops and transform it into a dance version in Logic, your remix is essentially a dance arrangement of that track. And if you create a viral YouTube video of yourself performing a Disney love song in 4-part a cappella harmony, you have created your own arrangement there too. So arranging can encompass instrumentation, deciding which instruments will be used and which ones will play what notes when, the musical style, for example, modifying rhythms to change a straight rock anthem into a down-tempo swung ballad, the form, meaning which sections of the music are repeated and in what order. And you can alter some of the core elements themselves, for example, when a jazz singer improvises embellishments to the notes of the melody, or a musician comes up with a reharmonization of the melody using different chords. So I wanted to talk about this topic today, not because I had any in-depth teaching to share with you, but because I think there's an important mindset shift here. A big part of developing your musicality is about taking ownership of the music you play and create, transforming from a musician who only ever plays the notes they are told to, the notes somebody else has written, into a musician who feels free and confident and creative to make their own choices. Sometimes that comes out through playing by ear and knowing that as long as you capture the essence of what you heard, that's what matters. Sometimes it comes out through improvisation or composing, bringing the music you imagine from scratch in your mind out into the world. And sometimes, if we relax our notion of what arranging music means and who is allowed to do it, your musicality can come out through simply taking some music you love and asking yourself, how could I perform this differently? What if we took it in a different direction? So I want to encourage you today to give yourself permission. Whether or not you've yet done the kind of ear training and musicality development we offer at Musical U, I assure you that you do have what it takes to begin arranging in some way or another. So this week, why not take some music you enjoy playing and, instead of playing it exactly as written, see if you can change something about it and create your own unique arrangement.
Thank you for listening to the Musicality Podcast. This episode has ended, but your musical journey continues. Head over to musicalitypodcast.com, where you will find the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive for podcast listeners. That's musicalitypodcast.com.